This is a summary of press releases from Japanese electronics manufacturers on 27th November. And wow, do we have some cool stuff to talk about today. We're looking at everything from next-gen satellite networks all the way to AI that's totally changing how medicine is made. All right, first up, let's jump in with NEC. They've just announced something that's a huge step forward for the future of satellite internet. What they've done is develop this brand new network control technology, and it's built specifically for these big constellations of optical communication satellites. And here's the thing, this isn't just about getting faster Netflix downloads, right? The real goal here for NEC is to create a network in space that is so incredibly stable, so reliable, that you can count on it for things that absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, fail. We're talking about coordinating emergency services during a natural disaster, or maybe guiding autonomous cars in places where regular cell service just doesn't exist. Okay, now check out these numbers, because this is where it gets really impressive. NEC's tech has pulled off two amazing feats. First off, it slashes the data transfer delay by 50%, cuts it right in half. But the second one? Wow. It practically gets rid of any fluctuation in that delay, dropping it by a wild 97%. To put that in perspective, that's just 1/30th of what it used to be. And that kind of stability, that's the secret sauce that makes all those mission-critical applications actually possible. So we're going from networks way up in space to networks right here on the ground. Corporate networks, that is. Panasonic has just put out a big announcement about a major change to how their company is structured. What they're doing is really simplifying their whole organization. It's something called an absorption-type merger. And what that means in plain English is that the big parent company, Panasonic Holdings, is basically going to absorb its main operational subsidiary, Panasonic Corporation. This is all part of a much bigger plan to make the whole group run a lot smoother. And listen, this isn't some far-off idea they're just kicking around. The board has already signed the papers. The whole thing is set to go into effect on April 1st, 2026. So yeah, they've got a very clear timeline for getting this new structure in place. So yeah, this table really breaks it down for you. You've got Panasonic Holdings, which is the brains of the operation, the strategy side, and it's pulling in Panasonic Corporation, the part that actually makes all the appliances and devices. The whole point of this move is to make decisions faster and create a company that can react more quickly, by putting all the control right there in the hands of the holding company. Okay, now this next one is really cool. It's a fascinating team-up where AI is stepping into the world of biology. Hitachi is partnering with some specialists to, and I'm not exaggerating here, completely change the game for how we produce medicines. So what they're doing is focusing on a really important chemical ingredient. It's like a building block for some powerful drugs, including certain anti-cancer treatments. The big question has always been, how do you get from a successful lab experiment to massive commercial-scale production without everything falling apart or becoming super inefficient? Well, the answer, it turns out, is AI. So here's the magic behind their AI x simulation x smart cell approach. First, you've got an AI that explores a number of possibilities that is just mind-boggling. We're talking over 4,300 trillion different combinations of things like temperature, what you feed the microbes, all that stuff. Then, Hitachi's simulation technology takes that data and figures out the absolute best conditions for growing these microbes. And what do you get at the end? You get the perfect recipe to get the most product possible, and, this is the really critical part, it prevents that yield from tanking when you go from a tiny lab flask to a giant industrial tank. And the result of all this, it's just incredible. This AI-powered process slashed the number of physical lab experiments they had to run by up to 73%. I mean, that is a huge jump in efficiency. Think about the time, the money, the resources you save when developing new drugs. It's a game changer. So, we just saw how AI is shaking up drug development. Now, let's switch gears and see how Canon is putting AI to work to fight a totally different battle: cyber threats. They've got a brand new security service. This new service is designed for something called SASE. That's S-A-S-E, or Secure Access Service Edge. The easiest way to think about it is it's the modern way of doing security. Instead of just protecting a building, it's all based in the cloud, and it combines networking and security into one package to protect people and their data no matter where they are, at home, in a coffee shop, anywhere. So Canon's new service, which they call their Security Operations Center or SOC service, uses AI to get ahead of the bad guys. Instead of just reacting after something bad happens, it's all about stopping threats before they can do real damage. The AI sifts through all the noise, all the alerts, to pinpoint the real dangers. And when it finds one, it can automatically jump into action, like instantly kicking a suspicious laptop off the network to contain the problem. And because so much of this is automated, it makes top-tier security way more affordable for businesses. All right, next up, we've got Sharp, and they're in the news for two totally different reasons. First, something that could affect the future of our power grid, and second, a big pat on the back for their business smarts. So let's start with the energy news. Sharp is stepping up in a big way to help make our electrical grids smarter and a whole lot more reliable. Okay, so what they've done is they've connected their home storage batteries into what's called a demand response service with TEPCO. Basically, this means the power company can now remotely tell all these home batteries to either charge up or send power back to the grid. And why is this such a big deal? Well, as we rely more on things like solar and wind, the power supply can get a little unpredictable. Having this network of batteries on standby, ready to absorb or release energy instantly, is absolutely crucial for keeping the lights on and making a green energy future a reality. All right, now for that second piece of news from Sharp, the company just got recognized with a pretty major international award for how they run their business. Yeah, for the second year running, Sharp has made it onto the Asia IP Elite list. And, this award isn't just about who has the most patents stacked up. It's about recognizing the companies that are actually brilliant at taking their clever ideas, their intellectual property, and turning them into a real competitive edge. It basically puts Sharp in the top tier of strategic thinkers in all of Asia. Okay, to wrap things up today, we have two more really incredible engineering stories. One is about bringing an iconic piece of architecture back to life, and the other is all about pushing the boundaries of what computers can do in outer space. So first, let's talk about Mitsubishi. They've just finished a project that's literally a world first, and it's this amazing blend of modern tech and classic design. What they did was the first ever complete renovation of a spiral escalator. One of those cool curved ones. This one's in a building in Mexico, and you can see the before and after here. They swapped out the old plastic-looking panels for this beautiful, sleek glass. But it's not just about looks. They also added smart sensors so the escalator stops running when nobody's on it to save a ton of energy. Plus, they brought all the safety features up to modern standards. It's just a perfect example of how you can keep a really cool, unique design, but make it way better, safer, and more efficient. And last but not least, we have Fujitsu, who has just unveiled a major breakthrough for computing in space. So here's what they've cracked. They tackled two of the biggest headaches for computers in space. You got almost no power to work with, and you're constantly getting bombarded with radiation that can cause errors. Their solution is genius. It's a system with two GPUs that basically double-check each other's calculations, catching and fixing any errors caused by radiation. And it does all this using less power than a tiny light bulb. The result? Well, it's a total game changer. Small satellites can now process and analyze images right there in orbit in less than 10 minutes. That's a job that used to involve sending huge amounts of data back to Earth and waiting hours for the results. So there you have it. From the vastness of space to the microscopic world of drug manufacturing, some amazing innovations today. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a like.